There are moments when you feel strong, but in silence. At other times, you question whether that silence is, in fact, a way of distancing yourself from yourself. During the waxing moon in Libra, there is a subtle call to balance these extremes. You know when you give too much, even while trying to keep the peace. You also feel when a small injustice grows inside your chest like an urgency. This cycle does not demand noise, but it does demand truth, especially your own. Libra rules the invisible weights of life. What you give, what you receive, and what you swallow so as not to displease. And you, who often have a sharp sense of justice, even when it isn't about you, may be starting to realize that staying silent too often is also a form of imbalance. The waxing moon opens the way for decisions that once seemed postponed. It does not force, but it guides. And you are exactly at the point where you need to decide. Will you remain silent, or will you take a stand? It's curious how sensitive people develop elegant defenses. You are like that. Someone who thinks before speaking, analyzes before acting, and prefers harmony over imposition. But sometimes, that noble care turns into the absence of boundaries. It's not about imposing yourself with aggression, but with presence, with measured words, but firm ones, and with the awareness that you, too, have the right to be heard, valued, and respected. Perhaps, deep down, you already feel it's past time to reposition your scales. This is one of your talents, knowing when a new adjustment can change everything. And that's what this cycle offers. Not a drastic rupture, but an impulse to make peace with your own voice. The sky is opening space for your inner justice to find expression. And perhaps, in doing so, you'll also inspire others to do the same, with balance, beauty, and courage. You have the rare gift of sensing what others don't say. This sensitivity often makes you anticipate pain, adjust your words, and give up space without anyone noticing. But there is a difference between empathy and erasing yourself. During this waxing moon in Libra, the cosmos invites you to restore that balance. Your ability to harmonize environments is admirable, but has your inner space received the same attention? Silence isn't always wisdom. Sometimes it's accumulated weight. Have you ever caught yourself reliving situations where you wished you had spoken more, taken up space, set a boundary? That's exactly where Libra works. Emotional justice begins when you recognize that your worth also matters. Perhaps you're one of those people others seek out for advice, but rarely listen to when you speak. It doesn't have to stay that way. You don't need to become someone else, only more whole. The beauty of your presence lies precisely in your ability to unite gentleness with firmness, to know how to listen but also how to stand your ground. The coming hours bring an energetic opening for important conversations, for declarations that once seemed impossible, and for decisions long delayed. You've already done so much for others. Now life wants to know, what will you do for yourself? The sky is more inclined to hear those who dare to speak with a heart aligned with awareness. You may realize that by asserting yourself, you don't lose people, you gain clarity. By taking a stand, you don't break bonds. You simply redefine them on fairer terms. Because deserving also means recognizing when something no longer makes sense. The justice Libra offers now is silent, steady, and internal. And you, with all your sensitivity and emotional intelligence, are ready to receive it. There are moments when you say little but think a lot. Even when you smile, your mind observes nuances others don't notice. This strategic sensitivity is one of your greatest assets, and now, with the waxing moon in Libra, it gains strength. You may feel called to express something important, but without creating ruptures. The diplomacy you carry is not passive. It is a subtle form of leadership. Not everyone has that refinement when dealing with tension, There are situations at work you've been managing quietly, waiting for the right moment to address them with the necessary precision. Perhaps you've kept silent, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Now, the sky offers the perfect opening for delicate matters to be approached with clarity and balance. You know how to balance tact and truth, and that makes you a reference point for those who watch you, even if they don't always express it. Your presence shifts dynamics. Those who have lived with the weight of poorly chosen words know the value of silence that precedes a well-thought-out statement. And you, more than most, understand this inner timing of maturation. The current phase favors not only communication but conscious listening, the kind that turns noise into agreements. You don't need to prove yourself right, only to present your point with the serenity of someone who has already reflected deeply. Firmness can be gentle, and you master that art. The world may ask for speed, but your rhythm produces more consistent results. This is the time to sit at the table with those who need to hear you, and do so with grace, without giving up the truth. The moon in Libra doesn't demand that you please everyone, only that you be fair to yourself. Your emotional intelligence, often underestimated, may be the key to unlocking understandings that once felt distant. And today, with elegant courage, you can finally be understood. You have the rare ability to weigh words before releasing them, like someone tuning an instrument before a performance. It wasn't always this way. There were times when you felt too impulsive or overly permissive. Today, however, the maturity you've gained allows you to choose your battles more wisely. And it's precisely in this lunar phase that your voice gains more strength. Not because it's loud, but because it's precise. Whoever listens to you now listens differently. At times, you feel the need to speak for everyone, even when it's not your responsibility. This happens because you notice what many ignore, the details that build or break agreements. Libra amplifies this sensitivity, but without making you a prisoner of it. On the contrary, it gives you the chance to be truly heard. You are the kind of person who can turn tense conversations into elegant solutions, something rare in environments driven by conflict. There may still be conversations you haven't started, not for lack of subject matter, but out of respect for the right timing. That time has arrived. The waxing moon inspires movement, but also subtlety. Perhaps the other side is still on the defensive, or waiting for you to say something only you can say. And even if not everything is clear, you've already noticed. There is space for dialogue where there once was tension. Don't underestimate your power to harmonize. Your logical reasoning, combined with empathy, positions you as someone who resolves without dividing. This isn't just a skill, it's your signature. In this phase, what you say can open doors, soften disagreements, and realign plans. Sometimes, being firm with gentleness is the most revolutionary gesture, and you are more than ready for it. After all, those who have learned to listen know exactly when and how they must be heard. You are one of those people who notice the details others overlook. While many are satisfied with what is visible, you've always seen value in nuance, in the kind of beauty that doesn't shout, but quietly enchants. You may have felt out of place in environments too harsh for the delicacy of your perception. But this sensitivity is not weakness. It is the foundation of a silent strength. In this waxing moon in Libra, that talent awakens. Now, the world seems more prepared to appreciate what once went unnoticed. At times, you hesitate to show yourself, as if doubting the place your creations deserve. After all, you've been led to believe that less is more only when it's someone else's less. Yet, deep down, you've always known that something within you hasn't yet received the recognition it deserves. And this isn't about vanity, but about justice. Something was created with care, beauty, and intention, and it needs to be seen. The current moon favors precisely this movement. Discreet, but certain. There is an elegance in the way you work that can no longer be hidden by haste or disorder. And those who know you know you were never the type to settle for just any outcome. Behind your creativity lies rigor, as if beauty must also be functional. This rare and valuable combination is now poised to stand out. The moon in Libra extends an invitation. Make public what you have been polishing in silence. The response will come, more refined than usual. You are entering a cycle in which the world begins to seek exactly what you offer. Your vision, your sensitivity, your ability to compose solutions with grace and intelligence. All of this is gaining relevance. In a noisy time, your sophistication is a gift. And even if you still wonder whether the right moment has arrived, the answer is simpler than it seems. When the world begins to ask for what you naturally provide, it is no longer coincidence. It is arrival. Not everyone understands the value of a well-placed silence, a well-drawn line, a well-structured idea. But you do. And even when others tried to push you toward noisier or rougher paths, something inside you resisted. That's because you carry a vision that doesn't bend to the world's rush. Now, the waxing moon in Libra aligns you with those who also seek that rare quality. What once seemed too discreet begins to be desired by those who never knew how to name what was missing. You've had doubts about whether it was worth insisting on your style, on your signature. You've asked yourself if it wouldn't be easier to adapt to what sells faster, what's more popular, more immediate. But you also know, and here lies the wisdom, that everything well-crafted has its own time. Your strength lies precisely in the way you deliver something complete, visual, idea, and presence. And now, that refinement finds fertile ground. Those who approach will notice, and they will value it. At this moment, your subtle gifts find a clearing. What was once ignored by noise or distraction now stands out by contrast. And you don't need to change to fit in, you only need to reveal. There is a growing place for those who know how to balance form and depth, for those who offer solutions that are beautiful, useful, and well thought out. What you create, when you allow yourself to do it fully, touches people differently. And because of that, it is remembered more lastingly. This lunar phase invites you to choose where and with whom to show your best version. It's not about convincing, but about presenting. You carry an inner aesthetic that, combined with practical competence, becomes irresistible to attentive eyes. If there was doubt before, now there is confirmation. It's time to step out of the shadow where delicacy hides and proudly claim what you offer. Because when form and substance walk together, the world learns to recognize value, starting with yours. You are someone who shifts between giving everything and retreating into silence. Not out of weakness, but because you know how to recognize when the scales are no longer fair. And even though many around you may see you as balanced, you know it hasn't always been easy to maintain that posture. The waxing moon in Libra offers you a mirror. What you see in it now may reveal more about those around you than about yourself. Many times, you tolerate it out of love. Now, you must ask, is this also reciprocity? Perhaps you are in a cycle where you're beginning to notice who listens to you out of convenience and who listens to you out of respect. You're the kind of person who observes before acting, and that's a rare wisdom. But the time has come to turn observation into decision. The harmony Libra proposes isn't just aesthetic, it's emotional, and it is born from the authenticity of your connections. Sometimes, you just need to change the mirror to remember that you still shine. The problem was never your light, but how distorted the reflection had become. You've stood by those who didn't see your worth, even when you gave them the best of yourself. And yet, you carried on with elegance, because your essence values respect. But there comes a moment, and that moment is now, when the greatest act of self-love is to step back, not to escape, but to choose yourself. This lunar phase expands the field of relationships, but with it comes clarity. Holding on to what doesn't nourish you only distances you from those who truly deserve you. What awaits ahead does not require you to shrink. Your ability to maintain peace, even in unbalanced environments, speaks volumes about your emotional maturity. And not everyone reaches that level of awareness. That's why Libra offers you a gift: discernment. Look around and ask yourself, who applauds you when no one is watching? Who sees your strengths even on the days you doubt them? The answers don't come to hurt, but to free you. You deserve relationships where you don't need to explain who you are, only to be. Some people have the rare ability to hold relationships with elegance, even when their hearts are full of doubt. You, who are often kind even when everything inside you screams for justice, may be feeling that something needs to change. The waxing moon in Libra invites you to look at yourself with more care and less at the idealized versions you create of others. There are times when firmness is the highest form of kindness, especially when what's at stake is your own peace. You know how to balance reason and feeling like few others. You're not the type to judge on impulse, but you also don't ignore the signs that keep repeating themselves. Some relationships existed to show you your depth, not your failure. Libra, with its symbolic scales, helps you weigh intentions and recognize silences that have already said everything. And even if it feels difficult, there is greatness in moving on when those around you can't see you fully. What feels like an ending may simply be the space needed for the right beginning. There are connections that become unhealthy not out of malice, but from lack of reciprocity. You've given more than you should, perhaps without realizing it. But now, a portal of balance is opening, and it demands courageous choices. Those who truly value you don't require effort to see you. They simply do. The brilliance of your worth isn't in proving yourself, but in remaining whole even when the world tries to break you into convenient pieces. That's something few can do, but you can. In this cycle, the universe whispers for you to remember who you are beyond the expectations of others. You are someone with a refined sense of emotional justice, who values harmony, but not at the cost of your own truth. The time has come to step into the center of your own life, not just the margins of other people's desires. The waxing moon highlights the contours of your self-worth. Now, either others recognize your light, or you move forward without waiting for them to see. After all, you've always known what you deserve. You are the kind of person who, even in silence, can feel when the moment calls for change. There is an instinct in you, refined yet firm, that knows when it's time to act. The waxing moon in Libra doesn't just illuminate this calling, it propels it with elegance. You seek balance, but you are no longer willing to maintain peace at the expense of yourself. Some may say you think too much before acting, but that is also what protects you from repeating mistakes. Now, that mature thought is transforming into strength. Even the most sensible sometimes hesitate when facing important decisions. You've been there before, caught between what is comfortable and what is aligned with your truth. Yet there is an ancient wisdom within you that recognizes the value of a step taken with integrity. It's not about speed, it's about firmness. Not every move needs to be big to be transformative. What matters is the alignment between what you feel, what you know, and what you do. It's likely you've held your calm for longer than most could. Your sense of justice is quiet, but intense. And now, you feel the time has come to align your behavior with your personal worth. There is a subtle difference between being diplomatic and erasing yourself, and you are beginning to see it clearly. This awakening is your compass. The waxing moon expands vision. Libra refines your action. You already carry within you the balance between firmness and grace. This is the moment when your charm becomes direction and your sensitivity becomes courage. People like you rarely receive the credit they deserve for all they hold in silence. But now, it's not about external recognition. It's about internal respect. By deciding based on self-worth, you open doors that once seemed locked. Taking a step forward in this moment is more than action. It's healing in the form of attitude. The harmony you've been seeking begins within. There are moments when you find yourself torn between wanting to please and wanting to stay true to yourself. You know this well because you've lived the conflict of staying silent just to keep the peace. And in that process, you lost a little piece of yourself. But now, there's a steady whisper from the universe asking you to choose yourself. The waxing moon in Libra reveals that true balance doesn't come from silence, but from conscious expression. And you, with all your delicacy, are ready to say what needs to be said, not impulsively, but with the strength of someone who has matured. Some people hesitate because they fear making mistakes. Others, because they know that once the truth is spoken, there's no turning back. You move between these two positions with wisdom. You sense when the environment calls for softness, but you don't confuse that with submission. Your greatest virtue lies in the subtlety of your stance. And it is precisely for this reason that your words, even calm ones, have the power to shift the course of a situation. Not everyone notices this, but you do. And now it's time to use that strength with intention. A new path lies ahead of you, paved by small but consistent choices. You may still wonder if this is the right time, but that doubt is already a sign of awareness. And those who are aware are closer to the right decision. You don't need to prove yourself. You only need to remind yourself of what you already know, that being kind to others should never mean being harsh with yourself. The waxing moon invites you to move forward, even if with a serene step. Because firm steps don't make noise, but they transform destinies. You hold something many long for, discernment. And the moment opening now is like a clean mirror, reflecting exactly what is ready to bloom. This is not the phase for dramatic breaks, but for surgical, precise adjustments. Your natural charm, your sense of justice, and your emotional intelligence are perfectly aligned to make the right decisions. Use this gift to turn movement into progress. This isn't just about moving forward. It's about walking toward a place where you feel whole.